Hey everybody, Max and Brian here for IGN. E3 is an exciting time of year when we get to find out what exciting new CD-ROMs and game tapes we'll be purchasing between July and next year's E3.
But after spending the last week weighing all the publisher press conferences and the deluge of pre-show trailer drops and leaks, we took a step back and noticed that unless you own a Switch, the second half of 2019 feels kinda light.
Basically, many of the biggest games of the show, new and returning, are coming out in the first few months of 2020 or later, and while the cupboard is far from bare, the lack of high-profile releases is noticeable.
To give you a sense of what I mean, let's compare October 2017, an especially busy year, with October 2018, which was a little lighter but still had plenty going on, and this coming October 2019.
Here's a rough list of widely anticipated games that launched in October 2017. Forza 7, Middle-earth: Shadow of War, Evil Within 2, Gran Turismo Sport, South Park: The Fractured But Whole, Assassin's Creed Origins, Super Mario Odyssey, Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus.
Here's the same list for last October 2018, Astrobot Rescue Mission, Forza Horizon 4, Mega Man 11, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Super Mario Party, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Starlink Battle for Atlas, Soul Calibur 4, Red Dead Redemption 2.
And here's what we know we have coming up in this October of this year. Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, The Outer Worlds.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Nintendo is an extreme outlier here. The number of big games coming to the Switch in 2019 is incredibly impressive, especially relative to other platforms. Fire Emblem, Three Houses, Link's Awakening, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. The list goes on. Then again, the Switch is in year 3, entering its prime, so it makes sense that Nintendo would be publishing more games, not less. But what about multi-platform titles?
Obviously, there will be more than 3 games coming out in October, but at the moment, this is looking like a pretty big decline in volume. The drop in November is not quite as steep, but it is also substantial, and unlike past years, there's not a AAA release run off into the first weeks of December, at least not that we know of at the moment.
Of course, there are some caveats. With Sony and Activision sitting out E3 this year, it's possible that there could be more games that we haven't seen yet. There are also a few titles like Darksiders Genesis, Concrete Genie, and Auto Chess, which are presumably on track to launch in 2019 but have no release date. The calendar could still fill out though, even though then it seems unlikely that there will be enough latecomers to keep 2019 from looking like a bit of a ghost town for gamers.
So there are fewer AAA mega hits at E3 this year. So what? Well, to be honest, you could read it in a few different ways.
First, you could say that we're hitting an unannounced soft gap between hardware generations. Many of the games coming in 2020 have the ambitious, forward-facing look of titles that will play fine on PS4 and Xbox One, but will be poised to take advantage of more powerful consoles. At E3 2018, there was a lot of talk that Cyberpunk 2077 might be a next-gen game. Watch Dogs Legions looks really nice as well, but its play as anyone can see seems pretty demanding, no?
Of course, there are also more games sticking around. More and more developers are supporting their successful games-as-service titles for years after launch, which means there's less pressure to churn out new games at a steady rate. For instance, Capcom hasn't announced a new game at E3, but it is at the show hyping up Monster Hunter World Iceborne, an expansion for its best-selling game ever. If you have a game with a fan base you can support, that's one less reason to make a new game and start the process all over again.
You could also chalk all this up to the industry's love affair with live streaming and game announcement sprawl. There's a fun fact here. Did you know Mortal Kombat 11 wasn't shown at an E3? NetherRealm held it back from E3 2018, then revealed it on its own event in February, just a few months before launch. So there are also many more opportunities for developers to launch games at their own events on their own timetables. So maybe there'll be a small, substantial number of big games coming down the pipe, which we'll see surprise live streams of later, like at Comic-Con, Gamescom, and across Nintendo Directs, and Sony State of Play streams, and then probably whatever Microsoft does.
If I had to guess, I'd say it's a mix of all 3 of these things. I do think we'll find that more games are launching this fall before the month is through, and some of the undated games will inevitably fall into place. At the same time, the gap is still quite large. Even if you think E3 will be gone before too long, and there is reason to, it still clearly carries a lot of cash, enough that if these games were in any state to show, we'd be seeing at least some of them.
On the bright side, as we saw throughout the show, there are plenty of promising indies that look like they're deserving of our time, so hopefully some of them will be able to take advantage of this opportunity and step in and grab our attention. We may not have a new Assassin's Creed this year, but we will likely have Skatebird in its place, and truly, isn't that enough?
Who needs Skate 4 when you have Skatebird? It's about a bird who skates. That seems great.
So what do you think about 2018, 2019, 2020, and all the games that we don't have and might get next year? Let us know in the comments below, and for all things video games that we're playing, not playing, waiting for, canceled, released, unreleased, recanceled, reinvented, remastered, reimagined, and back again for the very first time, keep it locked to IGN.
You know what's a good year for games? 2015. That was a good one.
1981.
1985.
Pac-Man, Pong,